so we're headed off to my friend Sean's shop. We got to do some metal fabrication, so it'll be interesting without a door. Could be just a little chilly. Luckily, it's a nice day. Alright, so we're getting ready to install the door. You got the camera rolling, yeah. So I want to install the door, but I ripped off the bottom, and this is kind of what we came up with here. That's not good. So we're going to refabricate a new piece to put in there. Otherwise, it's gonna go this way. Alright, I took the rubber of the stair tread off and I traced it on the steel we're going to use as to cover up that square tubing we welded in there. So I marked where I'm going to bend it and I marked where I'm going to cut it. Alright, I don't have a metal brake, so we're going to improvise here. Got some of this angle iron, so clamped one to the bottom of the table here and put my line right at the edge and clamp this one to the top. Then we're going to try to push and beat the snot out of it with a hammer and hope that that works. That's not terrible. The middle's kind of tough to get. I think I'll put it in, and again I'm going to put a bead of, I'm going to put a bunch of 3M 5200 marine adhesive behind it, and I think rivet it, so maybe put it in, rivet the top with the sealant, and then clamp it into place, and rivet it in. I think that'll work. We're going to get this 3M 5200 marine epoxy on here, or I don't know if it's epoxy or just called adhesive sealant. Thought it worked great for our patching when we patch the floors and the hole from the bolts. Spread it around a little bit. I don't know if the story's, I didn't verify the story, but a friend of mine said that someone was sailing around the world and something happened with their mast, and they used this stuff to sort of, I don't know, secure the mast. And when they got back, they went to sort of try to pull the mast out, and instead lifted up the entire boat. pretty impressive. Here's my piece here. A piece of grass already stuck in there. I'm going to rivet it, but for now I'm just going to clamp it in place. Alright, so my door jamb is going to look something like this. Again, my concerns are, it's such a narrow jamb. Usually jambs and doors will fit into at least a 2x4 wall. And a lot of times your exterior doors are on a 2x6 wall plus your sheathing. So I'm hoping that, again, the door's oak. I hope it's pretty heavy. I'm hoping that these are only 1 3/4 in width. They're a little over 3/4. I got them as wide as I could get them to really fit in there, I guess. So they're like 13, 16, just a little over 3/4 inch thickness. And I'm hoping I can get a bolt them or use the self-tapping screws to tie them right in the metal of the frame of the bus there at the edge. So hopefully that'll give it some strength to hold the door. And I think it's really hard to get that an exact measurement because of the curve. One, the bus door jamb isn't square. It's kind of cocked out a little bit and it's curved. So that made getting that sort of rough opening, getting it pretty exact kind of hard. So in retrospect, I should have probably built the jamb first and then built the door to fit it. So I think it's going to be pretty tight. But again, we'll see how it goes. And again, I think the biggest challenge putting this together is actually getting it square and then trying to figure out how we build the door stop and the back side of this. Hopefully this all is going to make sense when we get there. In order to one, stop the door, and how do I get weather stripping in there. So I don't know. Those are the things I have to figure out as we go. So I'm going to use my Craig jig to get some pocket holes and put the jamb together, and then I'll sort of clamp the jamb into the doorway of the bus and then continue to play with it and try to figure it out from here. It's got a square lined up with the inside mark, kind of the narrowest part of where the jamb's going to be. And I'm going to clamp it with my Craig clamp here. Tighten it up first. Clamp it in that square position. No! No! Need another hand. That would be amazing as a carpenter if you could have a third hand. That'd be good. It's right here. Okay, I'm pre-drilling holes. I'm using pretty long of these self-tapping screws to get into the rib over here. I think this side I'm going to need, because of the angle, I'm going to have to shim it a little bit, which is kind of a pain, but I guess I have to put another little piece of trim or just caulk it, or I don't know how I can make that look pretty, but again, I suppose like other things, we'll just figure it out as we go. Right, so time to put in the door knob. So I've got my template here and kind of lay it on here and mark the holes. I'm going to need a 2 1/8 inch hole saw. Of course, I had a 2 and I had a 2 1/4. I didn't have a 2 1/8, so I had to go buy a 2 1/8. So we're going to drill this hole. Alright, so rip down some stock here, and I'm going to put some construction adhesive and just sort of squeeze that in that little gap right there as our door stop. Hopefully that works. Luckily it's going to be covered up by weather stripping. Oh, it's messy. Perfect. Alright, so close the door there, and we're going to put some weather stripping on the back of this little piece of oak. Push that in against the door. Like that. Let's see if I can straighten this little crooked. There we go. Looks better. So down here I'm going to run some slate tile on this bottom step, and I don't want the slate to come all the way out to the end. I want to protect it, so I probably should have created that more of a relief, sort of a step edge on the end of this bottom of the sill, but I didn't. So I'm just going to build this up with this little piece of, forget even, I think it's hickory, actually I had kicking around. So I'm going to put a layer of caulking down there, and then just use some galvanized staples and staple that right to the top of that. And then I can run my tile inside. That's sort of in the way, isn't it? Alright, the doorstop actually turned out pretty well with that weather stripping. And I gotta sort of clean everything up, it's kind of messy, but the doorstop there and at the top. And then I got the sweep at the bottom. Again, I'll fill in this with subfloors, kind of like I did there, and some tile. But and on the inside, pretty tight fit too. So that's going to be a lot more secure against the rodents, and hopefully a lot quieter and warmer. But that's our door install video. Again, I found it sort of an interesting challenge just because the door jambs weren't square and trying to fit it all in there. And again, it was tough. You can't shim it like you would a normal door. So certainly found it challenging. But I'm really happy with the way it came out. We'll see how it performs when the weather gets cold. Not that I plan on spending a ton of cold weather in here, but hopefully it'll be great. So thanks for joining along. As always, I certainly appreciate it. Like, subscribe, do all those things you do, and then like I said, we'll see what comes up next. Thanks for watching. See you soon.